Better eat this thing. Okay. I'm Butch Hughes from Hastings, Nebraska. I live out in the country. I spent most of my adult life out in western Nebraska, farming and doing construction. Spent a lot of years in the Marine Corps in places that you don't like to really remember too close. But I always left my watch on Central Time to remind me why I was there. And no matter where in the world I was. So it was just amazing. And I think it wasn't uncommon. Had a lot of good Marines to work with, and one thing we always had in common is we was doing it for our country. So, but it's what this is all about is for each one of us to look each other in the eye and realize that there is hope, realize that there's a lot of people that really care, and realize that the silent majority is not very silent anymore. So it's really important to understand that we're going into a phase called Work Smart. And so if you have not filled out any these 4 or 6 cards with your what everybody's got their own axe to grind, and what your issue or issues are, your contact information, please pick up one and fill it out, because this is just the beginning. This is not the end. And we're going to work smart on this thing, and we're going to change our country. And we might be changing Grand Island, we might be changing Hastings, we might be changing the state of Nebraska. But the most important thing is we're going to get our country back. So, as free men and women and children, we can remain that way, and we won't be. Right now we're considered subjects, and we all thought we were citizens until here a few years ago. Now it's all of a sudden we're subjects, and we're going to change that so people have a chance to realize that they can get their culture back. And our culture is a one culture. You speak English? Amen. Okay? You pay your bills? And you love your country. So, but make sure you fill out these cards, and I didn't get here in time to know who's picking them up. But if you don't have a card, I've got some up here, and I guess this is the most important part. If you don't want to, that's your choice. But this thing is going to go all the way, and we're going to turn this thing around, because like these little signs over here saying that I'm 8 years old and I'm already $32,000 in debt. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. A family of 4 is 100. It's unreal. I mean, and that's just what's been created in the last few months. But this thing started 40, 50, 60 years ago. It didn't start. So this is not political. This is serious. And so whatever your issues are, put them down, and we can make a difference. Thank you very much.
Asked to come up and say something. I'll be very, very brief. My name's Terry Hahn. I live here in Grand Island. 36 years ago, I offered my life for our freedom. That offer still stands. Thank you.
Amen.
Thanks, Dan. That's the other thing I didn't do when I was asking about people here. I'd like to see the hands of the veterans that are here today. Thank you. I'd like to see the hands of people that have a child in the service today. Okay. Are we right-wing extremists? Yeah! You've defended our country. Right now our kids are defending our country. I'd rather be a right-wing extremist. One of those men that did defend our country's here today, and I've asked him to come up and share his views. Brian Bresnahan has written a number of columns in The Independent. I think maybe some of you may be familiar with that. Brian served in the United States Marine Corps for a number of years, retiring and at the rank of major. So, Brian.
Thanks, Mark. Let's hear it for him for putting this whole thing together. You know, when he asked me to come over and speak, I thought maybe there'd be some teleprompters for me, but as I understand that all those are in the White House, aren't they? Yeah. Well, you know, I might not be as eloquent, but I'll speak from my heart, that's for sure. Just tell us the truth. That's all you get from me. You know, they've been calling me a right-wing extremist for a few years now, haven't they, in the paper? But, you know, I don't care, quite honestly, because this country is what I care about. And it's so neat to see so many people out here today. I was truly shocked. I thought maybe I'd come over from Stromsburg area and maybe be 100 people here, and then you come and there's 3 or 350, whatever we ended up with. I'm just amazed. But thank you all for coming out. It's amazing. Now we're here, and you know, we brought it up before that we all have an axe to grind. But the big one here today is taxes. And it's out of control spending, and it's a bloated government, isn't it? Yes. And we can protest those things on so many levels. We protest it at a personal level, don't we? Because we're the ones that make that money. We're the ones that put in the hard work to earn that. We know best how to spend that money, not somebody in Washington, D.C. We know best what we need now, and we know best what we need for our future and the future of our children. That's not up to Washington, D.C., but you've got people that want to spend that money for you. So protest it on that level. Protest it on the level of what our founding fathers intended for our country. Right? Because what's going on in D.C. isn't what was intended, is it? It's not even close right now. No. When it came to taxes, what were the 2 reasons for taxes? Promote the common defense, right? And the general welfare. Not a welfare state. Not a nanny state. And not the socialist state that we're headed towards. That was not the reason our founding fathers allowed taxes to be put upon us. And this whole thing, this whole size of government, wasn't intended either, was it? In fact, it's quite the opposite. They wanted a very small government. And why is that? That's right. They knew that big government was big taxes, and big government meant less freedom. The bigger the government was, and they knew this from experience, didn't they? There's a lot of smart guys put our Constitution together, but they knew this. Big government meant less freedom and less liberty for all of us. And so that's why they set us out the way they did. And we need to protest it at that level. Because we're protesting not just your taxes, you're not protesting just your wallet, but you're protesting for your freedom, for your liberties. Because how's the saying go? A government big enough to give you everything you want, right? Is big enough to take everything you have. And that's where they're headed. Power to tax is power to destroy, this sign says. And so you have to protest against that, and you have to protect against that. And that's what this is about. This lady's saying that Obama today said that he's going to make it easier by taxing us more just so he can take care of us in so many other ways. But that's not what this nation's about. And that's not what our founding fathers intended. But you've got a fight on your hands, and these other guys have hit on it today. Because right now, the view of the threat has changed from the outside to the inside, hasn't it? There is a very distinct group in this country that wants a big government. They want the nanny state. They want to consolidate power in Washington, D.C., and they want to consolidate power unto themselves. There's a reason our founding fathers put the Second Amendment in that Bill of Rights for our Constitution. And that's so that we could protect ourselves against a large tyrannical government. And if you're not a Second Amendment person, I'll refer you to the Homeland Security report that came out last week that we're hearing so much about. Because you are definitely all extremists. You have an issue with which you disagree with your government on. That criteria alone makes you an extremist. Now maybe you don't agree with the